Listen, beloved, because we are live, I need for you to know that you can call us while we are here on the air at 631 664 6149. Again, that's 631 664 6149. This is the Sister Minister, and certainly you are sitting with the Sister Minister. Bishop, I still have you here for a little while, and I want to just share with our listening audience who is tuning in, especially since you're streaming this thing live. This technology is off the chain. I need for you to share with us the genesis of Church Talk Radio.
Sure. Couple of items that I'd like to share. Communications is my background. It is actually my formal collegiate background. I was a communication major. That was many more years than I really want to talk about. They didn't even have this available when I was in college and studying communication. But I did grapple with the principles. And for 20 years, as you know, I pastored in Columbus, Ohio.
Yes, you did.
And during that time, I was able to acquire a low-power television station, WO8BV. And we were the only minority broadcast property in the entire state of Ohio.
Wow.
And we did that for a period of 10 years.
That's TV.
That was TV. That was regular TV. Okay. Our concentrated signal was right in downtown Columbus.
Oh, beautiful.
On the east section of Columbus, which was the traditional African-American community.
Absolutely.
For Columbus. And so when I left Columbus and came back to New York, I certainly still had communication on my mind. However, the market here is altogether different than the Midwest. Buying a broadcast property in New York was just out of the reach.
Yes, we understand.
It was doable in the late 80s and 90s in Columbus, Ohio, but here it seemed just unavailable. Right. And then the internet came along, and I had been kind of delving in this, and so we put together an internet radio station, Church Talk Radio, and we're just very, very happy that we've been able to do that. We have people like Lady Michelle Monique and Evangelist Cheryl Boggs and others who kind of make this thing happen. And then we're also looking to create a Facebook studio so that in addition to radio, individuals will be able to come in and do some television programming as well.
Wonderful. Well, Bishop, we are excited, as I said earlier, to our listening family, and absolutely delighted to be a part of the Church Talk Radio family as we go higher and higher. So we thank you ever so much for being with us and for sharing with us these few moments. And listening family, we want you to just sit and listen for a moment as we prepare to shift gears in this inaugural broadcast of Sitting with the Sister Minister, because you all know it's been a minute since a sister's been up in your ear. But we've got so much information that we want to share. Before we go to this first break, let me shout out Reverend Casey Jones, Kimberly Clemens Jones, and the Wanted Project, based out of Valley Stream Presbyterian Church. Last night, they celebrated their 13th session with the young men. The Wanted Project, worthy, accountable, named, thankful, empowered, and determined. I mean, it's an intensive that is done with these young brothers, black and brown boys, as they grow into manhood. And it's an entire 13-week cycle. And this was the 13th cycle, if you will. And they had their ceremony last night. And although I was unable to attend, I understand from all reports that it was absolutely fantastic. So we're shouting out the Wanted Project, this particular class from last night. Now listen, before y'all go get it twisted, you know a sister was working it last night, okay? We had the opportunity to share over at Crest Hollow Country Club with the TCC. They had honored our very distinguished superintendent, the Reverend Dr. Marnie Hazelton from the all too powerful Roosevelt Union Free School District. Yes, indeed, the center of God's universe, we all know. Roosevelt, Strong Island, New York. So Dr. Marnie Hazelton was celebrated last night. We had an opportunity to share with her. And then, of course, our good friend, Brother James Sharp over in Uniondale. He was an award recipient last night, and it was good to see him. And listen, just for a sidebar, I need you listening family to know that all these years, I had no idea that Doris and James were husband and wife. I've known them both individually. And so last night we're sitting there at the table, along with Sister Anna Mohammed and Principal Sumter from the middle school, who's doing a wonderful job over there. And then, of course, the Queen Mother, Emily Moore, Queen Mother 2. And then Principal Emeritus of the Ulysses Bias Elementary School, Lillian Watson. And we're all there. And needless to say, because she came over and chatted, she said, Seretta, I was waiting for you. I said, hey, Doris, and we're chit-chatting. And then it clicks. And I said, Doris, all these years, I never knew you were just, she said, I know. And we just cracked up. So it was Bishop, it was really great seeing her. And then, but here was the real takeaway. When we were growing up, and Sister Shelley Brazeley is going to join us formally, beloved. I know I said we were going to a break, but let me get this out. So, Sister Shelley, because I'm saying that because I know you can relate to what I'm getting ready to say. Well, back in the day, and there I go fumbling with headphones and everything else. But back in the day, and I say that because we're streaming live. So back in the day, there was a band, Liquid Pleasure. Do you remember Liquid Pleasure? Liquid Pleasure, they came after the Ebony Jasmine, out of Lakeview, Hempstead, the Black Belt, Roosevelt. Anyhow, so last night I'm sitting there and, you know, you're chatting. And so this guy with these dreads, not dreads, I'm sorry, locks, long locks. They're not dreads, they're locks. And I'm looking, he's looking, and then he looked and he waves. And so I turned around casually to make sure he was waving at me. You don't want to get tight. And I turned around, I'm like, hey. And so the brother comes over, and we start kicking it. Oh, good to see you. I said, oh, great to see you, beloved. And I'm trying to figure out, who is this? I know this brother. And oh, I mean, we're talking and talking, and then the wife comes over, and you remember so-and-so? How are you, beloved? I said, I don't, but refresh my memory. And so he said, such and such. I said, right, yes, okay. And I'm saying to myself, Lord, if you please call it back to my remembrance. Holy Ghost, where are you? So anyhow, and we're chatting. And so then he says, you know who I saw from back in the day, Red? I saw Derek. And you know, for him to call me Red, and Seretta, he knows me. And I'm sitting here, and I'm saying, Derek, I said, who are you? And he said, I looked at him good. I said, Cisco? Yeah. So he screamed, I screamed, it's John Truitt. He used to give Philip Bailey fits. And, oh, yes. Really? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Okay. And you know, I know Philip for years. Okay. We go way back. And so I'm telling you, we used to crack up about, because he was with Liquid Pleasure, and they were really one of those groups that were really doing pretty good things. But when we discovered, so he said, Red, you didn't know it was me? I said, no, baby. So we cracked up. And now, of course, that became the running thing for the rest of the evening. So it was really nice, the award ceremony. And then, of course, the very illustrious, erudite, awesomeness that is the Reverend Dr. Calvin O'Buzz. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. He was celebrated last night. So I just had a great time with them. It was good to see Serge. I hadn't seen him in a minute. Him and Fred Brewington do this thing. I do not agree all the time. Let's not get it twisted. We have major disagreements. But I know Serge, for example, his heart's in the right place. You know, it's just that the path to it we might not quite. But it's all good. Listen, I celebrate everybody who's trying to do something. I just want y'all to do it to the benefit of the community. Amen. So, but you know, we were there, and so it was a wonderful, wonderful event. And congratulations, TCC. I thought, Shelley, for a minute I was going to win one of those. They were raffling off memberships. I thought for a minute I was going to win one. Shelley, how are you, beloved?
I'm good, thank God. I'm good.
Good, good. I know that there are many things going on that you can certainly bring us up to speed on. There's some things I want you to share in a discussion we're going to have a little bit later on about current events. But I wanted you to come to this inaugural broadcast, sister, because of the event that you are doing in concert with the African American Museum, you being the Nassau County Office of Minority Affairs, with your Black Friday 2. Endeavor, that program, that whole project, the Living Legacy World Tour, which is the day after Thanksgiving, next Friday, November 24th.
Yes.
So share with us, beloved, what is Black Friday 2?
Well, I'm excited. There's a young brother out of Atlanta. His name is Rick Mathis, and he did this film, Black Friday. And Tanya Luda and I had the pleasure of sitting on the panel when it came to New York. Perfecting Faith Church had him come, and they did a screening, and they had a panel packed with, you know, these incredible people. And they needed local people, and Tanya and I were selected. So that was really awesome, an awesome experience for me. So we kept in touch with Rick because the work is phenomenal.
Now, when did this happen? This was back in...
This was almost 2 years ago.
Almost 2 years
ago.
ago.
About a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Very good. Go ahead.
Right. So now he's done Black Friday 2. And this particular movie chronicled, he did this world tour. And he went and celebrated our legacy globally. And in hopes that we would embrace that as a people.
Okay, so when you talk about our legacy globally, I need for you to get real specific so that our listening family understands what has been captured, what Rick has captured with this motion picture.
Well, what he's primarily dealing with is us as a people and the way we handle our resources, or the way we mishandle our resources. And the film has created a venue for us to open up and have dialogue, honest dialogue, with the hope that we can start changing our ways and looking at our economic situation, just as Bishop Luda has phenomenally done here. People need to see what we're capable of doing. There has to come a point in our lives when we're tired of marching for jobs and asking for jobs, and we create opportunities and empower ourselves by supporting our own businesses.
Now, that's one of the things I know you have really been laser focused on when you talk about community empowerment. But what I'm hearing when you talk about this initiative, Black Friday 2, and you talk about changing those bad habits and develop good ones when it comes to financial freedom, I'm hearing legacy. I'm hearing legacy living. So just share with us, when you talk in terms of good fiscal management versus bad. For example, we might go and spend, we being general as a people, they say that we are the largest spending group, consumer group, if you will, on the face of the planet. But yet, I can't go to find where we have a hall or where we have community-owned and operated entities. Our money doesn't circulate in our community like it does in others. Is that fair to say?
I think that, yes, absolutely. We eat. You know how we love to eat.
Wow.
Can you name a supermarket that we own?
Right, right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, just basic things. And so we can look at my art gallery, bookstore, which did very, very well in the 80s in our community. And I remember that year when the general population, the malls, didn't do well at Christmas, but stores like mine
Right, right. Specialties.
right? And because we don't look at trends, we think no one else looks at trends.
That's all folk do.
And I don't know if you remember the article, Newsday came, I think it was in 94, 95. They came to my store, and because after that Christmas, Pennies and all the malls started carrying black products.
Right.
I did well when I was the only game in town.
And you were the only game in town for a minute.
That's right.
We all flocked. It was a meeting place, a gathering place, but the resources that you had. So it wasn't just a matter of you had a bookstore, you had a community gathering spot.
That's it.
And folk were constantly educated, coming in and out of there. I remember all of your stores, from Baldwin Road,
Right, then we moved to Baldwin and
to
shopping
Grand
center.
Avenue,
Yeah.
transformed that place, and then
In
Hempstead.
Hempstead, right. But what happened is, they did this article. I was on the cover of the business section. I was just
Yes.
too young to really realize what that meant. And the title of the article was Defending a Niche, right?
Right.
Defending a niche.
Sure.
I didn't understand what that was until all the other large stores started selling our products, and our people stopped coming. And so, do you remember the gift wrap from EERB?
Oh,
Ethnic Green rolls
fabulous.
and bags, right? They were out of Dallas. Because the products that I carried were from black manufacturers.
And they were fabulous. They were high quality.
High quality.
Yes.
And so then what happened is, when I went out of business, EERB went out of business.
Sure.
The cards that I carried, it was about 10 different companies, primarily working from home. But when I went out of business,
They went out.
all over the country, they went out of business.
Sure.
Because not just me, but the store in Denver, the store in, because it was only 1 or 2 stores in each state,
Right.
right? And so the rippling effect was that it didn't just affect my store, but even the manufacturers. So as a people, we have to understand that we still have to remain focused and we have to remain loyal. We can't keep marching for jobs and begging people for jobs, because the reality is, when I had my businesses, I employed the people in the community, right?
And that's key.
That's absolutely
That's
key.
recirculating that dollar a few times before it departs. One of the things that I marvel about with Bishop Luda coming back, being back in the New York area, but then this whole endeavor,
Right.
the idea that you would put together, and at a time when, thank God for the internet, at a time when our radio stations have disappeared.
Fizzled out.
I mean,
Yeah.
Kathy Hughes is still doing it, but when you look in the New York market, we had BLS, we had RKS doing smooth jazz, we had
RL.
There was WWRL, yes. So, and then of course on the other side, BLS's sister
LIB.
station, LIB, and so, but now, I couldn't believe when RKS went to a sports network.
Right.
Really? You know, the news, the information, but that's a way to, similar to when they went quote unquote, mainstream stores. For years never carried things that catered. Our people would have to, I know even as a young girl, my parents would go out of their way to go and get those dolls that looked like me.
Right.
So I didn't know Barbie was blonde haired and blue eyed. I didn't know Barbie until
Yes.
I was like, what, in my teens,
That's
before
right.
I understood that there was a blonde, blue-eyed figure that oh, Barbie, what? My dolls look like me. My point in that is that...
But your peers' dolls didn't.
No.
I know that's
no,
right.
Not at all. Those that I had, no. But I want to connect the dots that your stores
Yes.
catered to us. It was so when a child sees themselves,
Right.
it is empowering. So when
But you had a Olmec Toys that created a doll that came in 3 shades, because
Okay.
we're not all the same.
that's right,
Right?
that's right.
And so you had, they did that Sun Man. So now you have a superhero.
Who is of color?
That's what I'm talking about. You know, and so when you start, you have books.
Yes.
In this movie, when I talked to Rick, he said, you know, one of your segments made it. And I was like, my segment? Well, what? But the story about the baby, the lady that came in and bought all these books, and I said to her, I don't see anything for children. Do you have any children? She said, oh, my son, he's so bad. He makes everything fight. He don't want to read. He's not going to sit for that. And I said, well, sister, take this book and read it to him. And if he doesn't like it, you keep it.
Okay.
If he likes it, you come back and pay me.
All right.
Before I could close my store, the sister was back. She said, I can't believe it. I had to tell you this. I said, what? She said, I put that bad little boy on my lap, and I opened the book, and he said, Mommy, Daddy, me.
Wow. 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 Sure.
And he said for the
Sure.
entire, she said, and he said for the entire book.
Sure.
I said, sister, he needs to see himself.
That's right. That's
He
right.
needs to see himself.
Absolutely.
And so those products, our children, our adults, our everyone,
right.
was able to see themselves and
Yes.
see our culture and embrace our culture and not be embarrassed.
Right.
You
Right.
know, but your only point of reference is Tarzan, you know, swinging and all of us running. You know, we have to tell, like this brother is doing right now,
Our story.
our own story.
That's right. And give voice.
And we can make it happen.
So on Friday, November the 24th at 6 o'clock p.m.,
6 o'clock p.m.
we will gather at...
On Black Friday.
Hello.
On Black Friday, when we're all breaking down the doors and busting up ribs and stuff, trying to get to a discount.